Hi everyone, and welcome to today's 3 Pains of Health and Safety in Manufacturing webinar. I'm David Rowland, I'm Marketing Manager for Effective Software, and I'm here with Mandy McClellan. Mandy is our Product Specialist, and she'll be taking you through the specifics of our software. And the main focus of this webinar is going to be to talk about the various aspects of our system that can help manufacturing firms achieve their health and safety goals, and more specifically in terms of being able to help in terms of risk assessments, incident reporting and training compliance. So what I'll do is without further ado, I will just pass you over to Mandy, and Mandy will take you through the system. And just another quick thing, if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to send the questions down in the right hand side. You can send us any questions throughout the webinar and we'll take them. But at the end we'll have time as well to take any of your questions.
Thanks very much, Dave. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, today, exactly as Dave called out there, we're going to be looking at specifically related to manufacturing. From my experience dealing with a number of clients that we deal with in the manufacturing industry, how we've been able to assist them in streamlining their health and safety processes. So I guess first and foremost, a number of clients that would come to us would start with, I guess, more manual or kind of more the common health and safety processes. So it might be paper recording for your incidents and accidents, it might be Excel and Word to extract that information into your reports, and it might also be more manual processes for tracking your actions. So that could be verbal instructions to your line managers, it could be phone calls and emails out around the organization. There are a number of sites. So ideally not the most efficient processes that you can be using there. Now, I'm going to start with hazard and incident reporting because this is usually an area where most people kind of come to us looking for some solutions. And normally what they'll call out there is that it's very difficult from the line all the way up through the organization to get people to be really engaged with hazard and observation reporting. Typically those processes will, as I mentioned, require paper forms, which are obviously duplicating your work and not the ideal way to get people engaged into that process. And then from the health and safety manager's perspective, their trends and analysis have to be manually extracted from Excel or other formats there. And the kind of spread out information, so you might have training records that are held in one particular site or even in department folders. And it can be difficult with all of this information spread out to defend against your claims. And as a result there, all of this spread out information can actually result in basically a lack of foresight or a lack of planning across the business there. So how can we work to address that? So first and foremost, by enabling everyone throughout the organization to report hazards and observations in a very streamlined and easy process. Now, completely understand that in manufacturing, not everyone is going to have access to a PC, not everyone is going to have access to a mobile device. We've had experience with a number of clients that have done different ways, so safety zones where they have a device dedicated for this type of reporting, or some sort of modified mobile use policy where there's again a safety zone that people can actually use this to report hazards or observations. We can absolutely explore how to make that work for your own business policies, but the main point is that someone can easily and quickly report a hazard or an observation, classify it under the language that you've actually set, and even using a mobile device, attach different images or attachments that will help you better understand exactly what's happening in the business. Now, obviously, this is going to trigger a notification to someone within the organization that you've deemed appropriate to receive this, and then it will be their task or action to make sure that this actually does get reduced in action so that that hazard is hopefully reduced. Now, from a manager's perspective, the main thing is that you're going to be able to track these through to completion, but also extract your trends in analysis. So whether it be hazards, observations, good catches, whatever the language is, the idea being that you can actually drill down metrics from real-time information from the system, ensuring that you can see where maybe the pinpoints of hazard or risk are in your organization and work to reduce those. Now, the same should be said for your incident reporting. So an easy-to-use form that will help guide your reporter into, how to classify that incident, giving them guidance text, but also formats that they have to complete to submit it in for approval by yourself. The biggest thing here, though, is that people tell me, especially when they're managing multi-site operations, is that at times they can find that it can go weeks before that they're notified that an incident has happened on site. So with our particular format, depending on the severity of the incident and the workflow that you've set into the system, you can ensure that you're going to receive an immediate email notification with a hyperlink to the report when someone reports an incident. So no longer will you be waiting for notification from your department manager, your site manager, what have you. You'll instantly know that this actually has occurred. And what this is all going to feed into is pulling information from other areas of your software to really help prove your duty of care. So whether it be a risk assessment that you associate with this, which will trigger notifications to the risk assessment owner, letting them know they should review their control measures, or even tagging in a particular employee, which will automatically import their training matrix into the report. So instantly giving you or the investigator a full suite of information that you can better enable yourselves to get full clarity on the process. The end result should be a very comprehensive document that you can use to prove your duty of care. So in this particular instance, you're seeing a minor injury case that was raised and closed, but what you're going to notice there is that everything has been date, user, and time stamped. So you'll have complete clarity over who in your organization was involved in both the reporting of the incident, accepting of the incident, as well as the investigating of it. Obviously, all your attachments, such as risk assessments, images, any sort of documentation that you attach will be completed with this. So a number of our clients have said specifically this has really helped them to reduce no-win, no-fee claims that have come through from historical incidents where the solicitor doesn't anticipate that you're going to have information to feed through. Now, as far as risk management, obviously, again, with multi-sites or even, larger manufacturing sites, one of the difficulty that we hear all the time is that, risk assessments can be held in silos across the business. So people might be working off of outdated risk assessments, or they might not be aware of new control measures that should be put into place. And this can be very difficult to communicate when you're working with PDFs or Excel spreadsheets. And those kind of processes, as far as, maintaining your review schedules, or ensuring that people do have the most up-to-date information, can be very time-consuming for the health and safety manager. On the backside of that, obviously, is that your goal is always that you're going to be managing that risk as best as possible, which will feed into your control measures and your actions. And very much the same, like with your incidents and accidents, tracking these through to completion is a key goal that we typically get told is from the line managers or the production or even the ops directors. Training against your risk is also something that a lot of organizations are doing, but not necessarily documenting. So this goes heavily into your proof of duty of care, which we'll talk about here. Now, your risk assessment should be easily accessible. So being that we are a cloud-based platform, anyone with an internet connection can absolutely access this information. Now, again, a lot of you might say, well, not everywhere in my site has good connection to internet. So very much the same, you can download these PDFs and make them available on a local drive on your actual computers and whatnot. But the idea, the most streamlined and efficient idea would be that everyone has access to a PC somewhere in the actual production facility that they can go and access these risk assessments and review them as need be. Now, one thing to note here is all of these control measures, when a new risk assessment is being completed, they basically are raised and closed as a completed action automatically by the system. Now, if someone identifies a control measure that maybe they should put in place but they don't have it yet, that will be raised as an open action for completion. So very much the exact same that you would close out any other action within the system. It will be assigned to someone with a particular due date and tracked completion on that due date. Now, the actual creation or completion of these risk assessments is very simple. It's an open tablet format. There's no restrictions on how many risk assessments or how many different templates you want to have in there. But the idea being that someone who might not be familiar with risk assessments or how, to identify control measures or hazards, if they're being asked to risk assess potentially a particular job that day, or, even just working with some of their equipment, they can access one of these templates, which we would create alongside yourselves, and they would be able to review and understand, are these control measures are in place? Are these hazards, applicable to this particular job I'm doing? And submit that back to whether it be a health and safety professional or their next line manager, department manager for review and collaboration. So really the idea of getting people involved in the process and not just leaving the risk assessing up to the health and safety managers. Now, as I mentioned there, those control measures will be created as an action. So you can see here, it's a very simple and easy to use form where you can classify these actions. Again, this will all feed into back-end reporting that you'll be able to extract information from. But you can also make this a repeating action. So if this is something, say you wanted someone to review the control measure on a quarterly basis, you set that schedule into the system and they would be automatically reminded of this without you having to do any of that low-value admin work. The reporting is obviously a huge aspect here, so you'll be able to track how long it typically takes you to close out these actions, what kind of priorities of actions do you have open across the business, as well as any overdue actions, obviously, that haven't been completed, and maybe which areas of the business are better or worse at closing out these actions on time. Now, the tracking of risk training is a huge benefit that I think that most organizations are in fact doing, but maybe not recording in a way that will help support them later down the line. So within the risk assessment module, we actually have a tab for risk training compliance. And exactly like the training module I'm about to show you here, you're able to track who has been trained against which risk assessments in their particular area. A red, amber, green matrix will be created. But importantly here, when someone updates a risk assessment, puts in new control measures, puts in new hazards, it will flag up to whomever owns this particular aspect of the software that all of these individuals within the production department, let's say, should be retrained on the risk assessment as it's changed or been updated to a new revision. So again, instantly the software is taking away a lot of that low value admin work, and enabling you to better spend your time. Now with the training compliance, this is again another key area that a lot of organizations seem to struggle with, whether it be the certificates are scattered being in paper or Excel format, or you've got different folders for different types of training, and there's really not a centralized place that you can tie into to get this information. A lot of people would say that they're not always 100% confident that the training schedules or the refresher dates are being managed to the timelines that they should, and that maybe not everyone on the site is actually trained and aware of the types of jobs that they should be doing. And on the back end, then obviously your reporting can be quite difficult and time consuming because you don't have a centralized spot to pull information from. Now, exactly like that risk assessment there, that risk assessment training, you can easily track training against a number of different areas. It doesn't necessarily have to be health and safety. You can do this for site inductions, contractor training, what have you. Red, amber, green, again, this will flag up notifications to your training manager or health and safety to let them know well in advance that these number of individuals, say, are due for refresher training on their first aid. This will also feed into budgeting reports for you, so you can actually track costs against your refresher dates and enable you to better forecast your budgeting for your training, just giving you better information to feed from. Now, all of your employees should have a very comprehensive and easy to use platform where you can access all of their records in one go. So you can see the little PDF icon there. Essentially, you could click on that icon and it will download their certificate right to their desktop. Any of their previous year's records will automatically go into the individual's archive. So even if this employee hasn't worked for you for 10 years, if a claim does come through or for whatever reason you need to pull this information forward, it'll always be protected and secured in your platform. And then obviously reporting, so a full suite of reports that you can pull and extract and drill down from on your training, but this is just one example of how you'd be able to, say, for a particular site or a department within your site, understand where maybe we need to focus more of our energy, what modules we tend to be really good at keeping up on, and maybe where we're lacking a bit. And just giving you that clarity and oversight to report upwards in your organization to make sure that everyone is aware of the status of health and safety within your business. And ideally, what does this all feed into? So it's protecting your employees first and foremost, making sure that they go to work safe and go home safe every day. It's protecting the business reputation. So in the event that you do have to prove your duty of care, that you have all the reputational protection in place to make sure that a claim doesn't go through, but also protecting or preventing those claims from ever happening, whether it be on a client's site, in your own production facility. And as well, obviously, the financial implications. So everyone knows about the increased sentencing guidelines in the health and safety executive. This is definitely one way that you can help protect yourselves against those unforeseen finances. So that's the end of our presentation there. Happy to take some questions now if we do have them.
So yeah, but there seems to be no questions that have come in at the moment. If you do have any questions going forward, please don't hesitate to contact us. This webinar itself has been recorded, so we will be sending this recording to you after the webinar. That gives you the opportunity to send it to whoever you may see fit. But if you have any specific questions, we'll be on hand to take them. So you have our contact details, and your lead owner will be in touch with you with the recording. Okay, so thanks very much for your cooperation, guys, and hope to talk to you soon.